It's not unusual for a bat to sometimes end up inside of a room in a building. They commonly roost in buildings today, some species do. And if you end up having a single bat inside, you can simply put a box or a can or any other type of small container over the bat. Simply place it carefully over the bat where it's roosting on the wall. Take a piece of cardboard or a stiff envelope. Gently scoot it between the box and the wall so that you're securing the bat inside. Once the bat's inside, you want to make sure you secure this. Either take the paper or the cardboard that you used to capture it and tape it shut well so that the bat's secured and can't escape. Or you can simply take, if you have a box like this, you can take the top to the box, put it over the top, and tape it shut. Make sure that there are no spaces between the top of the box and the bottom so that the bat could crawl out. They can come out through a very small area. And if you want to add for whoever is going to be the person designated to capture the bats, that they should use gloves when capturing the bat as an extra safety precaution, you can do that as well. Sometimes bats will fly into the folds of a curtain. In fact, that's very common. They really want to get into some area where they're sort of hidden, and a curtain provides a perfect roosting surface. Again, we're going to use the same procedure. We're just going to put a box or a can over the top of him, but we want to make sure that we push it up against a hard surface. So in this case, we want to make sure that we push this up against the window behind the curtain so that he can't get out of the box. Again, now we have him secured behind the box, and we're going to take a piece of cardboard or a thick envelope, anything that's stiff that will cover the entire top of the box, and put it between the surface the bat is on and the box. Gently scoot the bat. Okay, we have them inside. We want to make sure that we have this covering the entire top of the box before we take it away. And again, we can either tape it shut as it is, or if you have a box that has a top, you can just simply slide the top on while you're taking off the other and secure it. Sometimes the bat will end up trapped inside of a duct. They'll end up coming through a vent like this, and you'll find them roosting on the ceiling. Here we have a bat roosting on the ceiling tile. We're just going to put the bats over the top of him, just like we did on the wall. And again, we're going to scoot a stiff envelope or a stiff piece of cardboard in between and gently scoot the bat inside so that he's uninjured. And then we're going to tape this shut again to make sure that the bat's secured, not able to get back out. Sometimes the bat will be found on the floor. They can run very fast, so if you're not the person designated to capture the bat, you want to at least be able to confine it until that person arrives so that it doesn't move to some other room or some other area of the building. You can simply place a wastebasket over the bat. You want to do it quickly so that it doesn't escape, but not slam it down on the floor, taking a chance you might injure the bat, particularly the brain, and we want to keep that intact in case the bat needs to be tested for rabies. Here's a little bat scooting across the floor. We're simply going to put the basket over the top of him, and now he's confined until the person who comes who's going to actually secure him and remove him from the building. What if you see a bat flying in the room and it lands and you don't see exactly where it goes? First of all, shut the door to the room so that it can't get out. Then look behind anything hanging on the wall. A wall painting, a photograph, a map, a chalkboard, anything like that is something that a bat could easily go behind and roost behind. You want to wear gloves when doing this so that you can pull it out and look without worrying about having direct contact with the bat. It's always better to catch a bat when it's roosting on a flat surface. It's much easier than trying to catch a bat when it's flying. They're very fast. In fact, Mexican free-tail bats can fly as fast as 60 miles an hour with tailwinds. So capture it against a surface if possible. If that's not possible and you have a bat flying in a large area And you need to use a net, like a butterfly net. What I'm going to do is try to catch a bat while he's flying in the room. I'll just watch, and he'll tend to make the same pattern over and over. And once I can anticipate the movements he's making as he comes towards me, I'll quickly lift up the net and turn it real fast so that he's sort of trapped inside. Okay, so now we have him captured inside the net. You can also capture a bat that's roosting on a surface with a butterfly net. The bat, if you put it up against the bat so that the top is over the top of the bat, it's going to want to cling to the netting. They want to cling to any kind of a surface that's netted or easy to climb on. Place the net over the top of the bat, then very slowly start moving it down. The bat will sort of scoot along until you can tell that it's clinging to the netting. On the inside of a building, bats often get through openings in ceiling tiles or places where the wood has come loose or is not well fitted into the rest of the ceiling. Again, an opening like this is sometimes found inside supply closets or maintenance rooms. It's important that these openings are kept shut to prevent bats from getting in interior areas. What about holes in walls? These are a problem. Bats that are already roosting in the building may not be a problem, but if they're able to access the opening like this to get to the interior area, that is a problem. So you need to make sure that these openings are caulked shut. Where do bats get into buildings? One of the common places is in crevices that can form between a building and the chimney. Here you can see a brick building and the chimney and obvious wide spaces between the two. That's a perfect place for bats to enter. Here's screened vents along the underside of a roof. If the screen is in good repair, that's not a problem at all, but if the screen is loose, bats could also get in through that opening. Vents, another type of vent on the attic of a building. If there's a screen on the inside, it's not a problem. The bats can't get inside. But if there's no screen, or if the screen is loose, bats could easily get in through these openings. Here you can see on the corner of the building that the flashing is loose. That's one place bats can get in. And you can also see that there's openings between the wooden part of the building and the brick part of the building. All these little openings are places where bats could enter. Here's a section of a roof. You can see that the wood on the bottom does not meet securely up against the wood that is on the underside of the roof. That's another place where bats could enter. Here's a small hole. This is sort of in the brick of the building, and there's wood on top. This is another opening bats could use to enter. Here you can see the structure has a cement wall, and then there are columns along the side. Again, there are openings between the wall and the column. Bats often will enter through there. These usually don't have openings to the interior of the building, and bats will remain on the external side. However, there are sometimes openings that go from these external crevices to the inside. And if so, then this is another area that bats could enter interior areas. Bats often enter buildings under loose flashing, so make sure that the flashing is secure against the building and that any openings that are left after the flashing has been secured should be sealed shut. Here's another hole that bats could use to get into a building. The best way to evict bats is to use something like this. It's just a clear piece of plastic that's formed into a tube. It has to be smooth inside so the bats can't cling to it to climb back in. Just put this over the top, and then you can secure it around the outside. You leave this in place for 5 to 7 days to make sure all the bats have gotten out. Then you remove it and permanently seal the opening shut. Here's another option. Here's another type of tube that works well. Again, just a smooth tube. This one has a piece of plastic that's pliable that you can use in case you're in an area where it's not even. If the hole is uneven, then you can sort of mold this to make it fit and keep it secure. Stone structures often have many places that bats could enter. For instance, right here, this is a very large opening. A bat doesn't need an opening this large to enter, but there are many spaces in this brick structure where bats could enter the building.
These spaces would all need to be sealed shut if this was the exterior wall of a building where you're evicting bats.